Have you ever wondered how entire towns, cities, or even countries can lose control over something that isn't really there? Throughout history, people have panicked over strange events that spread like wildfire, from mysterious illnesses to terrifying creatures and viral internet challenges.
Vaccine crystals? So this is what I found out. So I have a key and a bobby pin here. Explain to me why the key sticks to me. It sticks to my neck, too. I got this. Yeah, so if somebody can explain this, that would be great.
Today, we're diving into 10 of the most unbelievable mass hysteria events that made the world stop and ask one haunting question. How did so many people believe it was real? The Dancing Plague of 1518. In July 1518, people living in the city of Strasbourg, which was part of the Holy Roman Empire, saw something strange. A woman suddenly started dancing in the street. At first, it looked harmless, but within days, more people joined her. Soon, dozens were dancing without stopping. Some danced for days, unable to control their movements. Reports from that time said a few even collapsed or died from exhaustion, though historians today are unsure how many deaths actually happened. The city tried to help in strange ways. Local leaders believed the dancers were cursed or possessed, so they hired musicians and opened halls for them to dance freely, thinking it would help them recover. Instead, the dancing only spread further. People couldn't understand what was happening. Modern experts think the dancing plague was not caused by magic or religion, but by human stress. The people of Strasbourg were struggling with famine, disease, and poverty. Many believe the dancing was a form of mass hysteria, a situation where extreme stress causes people to lose control altogether. The Salem Witch Trials. Now, in 1692, the small town of Salem Village in Massachusetts was hit by fear and confusion. It started when a few young girls began having strange fits and claimed they were being attacked by invisible forces. They said witches were harming them, and their claims spread quickly through the town. Local courts began hearing the cases and allowed something called spectral evidence, which meant that a person could be accused if someone said they saw their spirit or ghost doing harm. That rule made it easy for fear to grow. Soon, dozens of people were accused of witchcraft. 19 people were hanged, one man was crushed with stones, and many others were jailed. Some died in prison before they could even go to trial. The panic finally stopped when the governor stepped in and said that spectral evidence could no longer be used. New courts freed many of the prisoners, and the trials came to an end. Later, the colony apologized, and the families of the victims were paid damages. The Tanganyika Laughter Epidemic. In 1962, at a small boarding school for girls in Kashasha, Tanganyika, something very strange began. A few students started laughing uncontrollably. The laughter spread quickly through the school. Soon, many of the students couldn't stop laughing, crying, or showing odd behavior. Teachers couldn't control it, and the school had to shut down. But the strange didn't even end there. The laughter moved to nearby villages and other schools. People who saw others laughing began to laugh too. Some laughed for hours, others for days. Many said they felt tired and sore afterward. Doctors came to study what was happening. They found no virus or poison. Instead, they learned that this was a kind of mass hysteria, now called mass psychogenic illness. It happens when stress and fear spread through a group and people begin to show real physical symptoms because of shared emotions. The Mad Gasser of Mattoon. In 1944, the town of Mattoon, Illinois, was filled with panic. People started reporting strange attacks in the night. They said they smelled weird fumes in their homes and then felt dizzy, sick, or weak. Some said they saw a tall figure running away after spraying something in their windows. Newspapers quickly began calling this unknown person the Mad Gasser. After weeks of searching, investigators started to think the whole panic might not have a real attacker behind it. Some experts said the fear itself made people believe they were under attack. Newspaper headlines and gossip may have caused the story to grow out of control. The June Bug Epidemic. In June 1962, a dressmaking department in a textile factory in the United States faced a strange problem. Several workers began to feel sick. It started with a few people who said they had numb hands, dizziness, and nausea. Then, more workers began feeling the same way. Some said they saw a small bug that was biting them. The story spread quickly, And before long, more than 60 workers, most of them women, were feeling ill. The company called doctors and insect experts to help. They looked for insects or any chemical leaks in the factory, but they found nothing unusual. There were no real bugs and no poison that could explain the sickness. This made scientists curious. Later, researchers studied the event and called it a case of mass psychogenic illness, which means a group of people start to show real symptoms that come from fear or stress, not from an outside cause. The workers had stressful jobs with long hours and pressure to work fast. When one person got sick, others around them started to feel the same way. Seeing friends fall ill made everyone more worried, and that fear spread quickly. Newspapers wrote about it, which made people even more scared. The so-called June bug never existed. The Pokémon Seizure Panic.
An investigation is underway in Japan into why more than 600 children suffered from convulsions and vomiting after watching a television cartoon program. It's thought that bright flashing lights in the cartoon, Pocket Monsters, were to blame. Andrew Burrows reports.
On December the 16th, 1997, millions of children in Japan were watching a new episode of the Pokémon cartoon. Everything was normal until a scene showed bright flashing lights. The flashes lasted only a few seconds, but soon after, many children began to feel sick. Some said their eyes hurt, others felt dizzy, and some had seizures. Parents rushed their children to hospitals, and news about the event spread across Japan within hours. Doctors examined hundreds of children and found that some really did have photosensitive epilepsy, a condition where flashing lights can cause seizures. However, most of the children did not have that condition. Many doctors noticed that the symptoms in most cases were caused by stress, panic, and the power of suggestion. When the news started reporting the story, even more children said they felt unwell, even though they had not seen the flashing scene. Scientists learned that the body can react strongly to fear and suggestion, especially when many people are talking about it. This event became known as the Pokémon Seizure Panic. The Pokémon episode was immediately banned, and the show took a long break. The producers later changed the way they used flashing effects in future episodes to prevent similar incidents. The Satanic Panic. In the early 1980s, a wave of fear spread across the United States. People began to believe that secret satanic groups were abusing children in strange rituals. The panic began after a book made shocking claims about hidden cults harming people. Soon, TV talk shows, newspapers, and radio programs began spreading stories of children being used in satanic ceremonies. The most famous case was the McMartin preschool trial in California, where teachers and staff were accused of harming children as part of satanic rituals. Investigators used bad questioning methods that pushed children to say things that were not true. Many children began telling wild stories that had no proof behind them. Even though no real evidence was found, the public believed the stories. Over the next several years, many daycare workers across the country were accused, and some were jailed. Later investigations showed that most of the stories were made up because of fear, rumors, and poor interviewing techniques. Psychologists found that children had been influenced to believe false memories through constant questioning. The War of the Worlds broadcast.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the Air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
On October the 30th, 1938, a young radio producer named Orson Welles created a Halloween radio drama based on the science fiction story The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. The program was made to sound like a real news broadcast, describing Martians landing on Earth and attacking humans. As the broadcast continued, listeners began to panic. Some thought real aliens were invading the planet. Newspapers later reported that people ran from their homes, called the police, and tried to warn their neighbors. The next day, the story became national news. Reporters said that millions of people had panicked. Researchers at Princeton University studied the event afterward. They found that while some people were frightened, the number of people who actually panicked was much smaller than what newspapers claimed. Later, experts discovered that some newspapers exaggerated the story because radio was becoming a new and powerful form of media, and they wanted to make it look irresponsible. The Monkey Man of Delhi. In May 2001, people in New Delhi began reporting a strange creature roaming the streets at night. They called it the Monkey Man, or Kalabanda. Witnesses described it in many different ways. Some said it looked like a small hairy man that could jump from rooftop to rooftop. Others said it had red glowing eyes, metal claws, and even a helmet. Some thought it was half robot and half monkey. The details kept changing, but the fear was real. Within weeks, hundreds of people claimed they saw the creature. The story spread through newspapers and TV reports, making everyone more nervous. Police received so many calls that they started patrolling neighborhoods at night. Hospitals treated dozens of people who said they had been attacked or scratched. Sadly, a few people even died after falling from buildings while trying to escape what they thought was the Monkey Man. When experts later studied what happened, they found no proof that a real creature existed. There were no clear photos, no tracks, and no captured animal. Psychologists explained that this was an example of mass hysteria. People were already under stress, and rumors made them see normal shadows or stray animals as something dangerous. The Blue Whale Challenge panic.
Parents, listen up. A disturbing new trend is showing the more sinister side of social media. It's called the Blue Whale Challenge, and it's getting kids to hurt themselves and then post pictures and even videos of them doing it.
Now, in 2016, a dangerous story began spreading on the internet. It was called the Blue Whale Challenge. The story said that teenagers were joining an online game where they received one task each day for 50 days. At first, the tasks were harmless, like watching scary movies or waking up at strange hours. But as the days went on, the tasks became darker. Players were told to hurt themselves, and on the final day, they were asked to take their own lives. The story quickly spread across social media and news outlets. Reports linked the game to teen deaths in Russia, India, and other countries. Police began investigating, and in Russia, a man named Philip Budakin was arrested for creating online groups that encouraged young people to harm themselves. He was later sentenced for his role in spreading dangerous online content. But as experts looked closer, they found that much of the Blue Whale story had been exaggerated. Some deaths were not actually connected to the game. In many cases, the panic grew because of rumors, online hoaxes, and sensational media coverage. Still, the challenge exposed real dangers on the internet, especially for young people who were struggling with mental health issues. Governments around the world stepped in, websites hosting the game were shut down, and parents were warned to watch their children's online activity. Schools began teaching about online safety and mental health awareness. Mass hysteria reminds us how powerful the human mind can be. Fear, stress, and suggestion can spread just like any virus, turning imagination into something that feels real. These events show that when people face uncertainty, they often look to others for cues, even when those cues lead to panic. So, tell us in the comments, which of these mass panics shocked you the most? Before you go, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our next video about one of the internet's biggest mysteries. Cicada 3301.